So hello everybody. I will talk about what we've done in past year on the project. And by the way, it's this very same project Kamil was talking about. So I'm from the Czech Technical University, but there is this University of Western Bohemia from where Kamil is. And we have so-called application partner, which basically gives us data, and it's a Czech news agency. So there are also people from Czech here too. So basically, the thing I'll be talking about is a result of work of myself and 7 master students, some of which will become PhD students soon. So we're talking about fact-checking, and the automated one. By this, I mean we are dealing with machine learning approaches and artificial intelligence. And well, as scientists in computer science, we need to have like a proper definition of what does it mean actually to fact check. So for us, it is as follows. So we basically fact check short portions of text. We call these the claims. So such claim might be something like, in 2015, 10 kilometers of motorways were built in the Czech Republic, something like that. And we verify this claim with respect to a kind of knowledge base or document database. For us, as you will see, or our target is to use the large archive of Czech news agency of all news which emerged starting 2000 or even sooner up to now. And actually the output of this system, so what the user expects and deals with is firstly the classification of this claim. So we can either support it, we can say it's supported, or it's refuted, so it's not true, or there is not enough info in the knowledge base for either way. And in case of the first two, the supports and refutes, we also need to give you a list of documents which form an evidence for support or refute. Yeah, so this is our problem. This is something we deal with. And there is already quite research in this area starting mostly, but really soon, but there is like very emerging research in this area. And in most cases, these systems, which are, by the way, mostly focusing on English-speaking world, which I will tell you about later, which is important, can be described by like 2 stages. So the first stage is that you take the claim and you search relevant documents, which you potentially can work as an evidence to either support, to say it's supported or it's refuted. So it's like the first stage. And then there is a second stage, and it's like the classification of the claim itself into those 3 classes, as we say. Yeah, so it's supported, it's refuted, or not enough information. And this is like quite common task in natural language processing, and it's called recognizing textual entailment. And so we deal with both of these. But obviously there's a problem. We are dealing with machine learning, so we're training from, this means we are training from examples. This is a form of artificial intelligence which is based on learning the system by examples. And the problem is that for Czech language, as for many other like low profile languages, there is little or no data. So actually, when we started this last year, we found out that there is actually no data set we can directly use. So and it's like the most part we did, we based our research in this on like 2 ways. So one was to take an English-based large data set, which is, by the way, it's called Fever, and it's the largest data set in this domain, and it's based on Wikipedia. And they have based on Cambridge, and there are like 185 annotated claims. So really people did this labeling, which is not cheap really, and very time consuming. So we took this, and in our first part, we built like a Czech version of this data set, and I'll tell you a few words about this later. And the second part was that, or the second approach was that we started building our fact-checking data set by ourselves from the ground. And this is based on the Czech news agency data, obviously. And we actually were able to get, by means of Václav Moraven's 172 students of journalism, which were, which helped us with that and which helped us collect the data. So just quickly about the Czech version of this large data set based on Wikipedia, which kind of serve as a starting point for all the methods we are using. It basically works in a way that as you know, there are multiple language versions of certain pages of Wikipedia, and these are connected. So we just, if there was a page which was referred from the original English data set, then we took the corresponding page in the Czech Wikipedia, and well, and the hypothesis was that if there is the information needed to support or refute some claims, then it will survive this conversion, which is of course very simplifying, but we think it in most cases it works. The claims themselves were translated using Google Translate in that time. These days we would use probably something different, but overall this data set ended up really well, and actually the reduction of number of claims due to like non-equalities in the Wikipedias of English Wikipedia and Czech Wikipedias were reasonable. So we got quite a large data set of like 127,000 of claims. So the second, I guess, more interesting part is the collection of our data set based on news, not on Wikipedia. And it turned out that the whole thing about preparing the methodology of collection of this is really not easy, and we don't have time. So the basic idea, I will go just through main steps, is that initially we basically took this whole package, the huge number of news. There are about like 2 million of news articles we are dealing with. This is the whole data set which we are working with. And we pre-selected certain parts of the text. Actually, in this case, we work on a scale of paragraphs. So we pre-selected some paragraphs. And then those annotators, those students started to build claims. So in the first stage, they took these pre-selected paragraphs and they tried and they actually created new claims. I mean these were the texture, the sentences which were correct with respect to this source paragraph, which was further expanded by some and we used artificial intelligence methods for this, by some more context. So they have like more things to talk about. In the second stage, this is like task 1B here, they took this with what we call initial claim and they mutated it. So they created like paraphrases of that, negations, they made claims which were more specific or more general, etc. So this was like the first part, the creation of actual claims. And then in the second part, the students or the annotators basically took this to these claim mutations, and they got this context, so quite a lot of text, and they actually annotated it. So whether they look at this text, at this context, and they labeled in a system whether it's supported, refuted, or no one can say so, it's not enough info. And they done this for their own claims, as well as, and in more typically they annotated more claims of other annotators. So this is the outline of quite complex methodology, and actually at this place I must say that we were happy to get these students of journalism, really the experts in this domain, because it's really not it's not like anyone can actually annotate this. So we finally annotated. We had like 172 annotators. We've collected in a second stage. There were like 2 or 3 rounds. More precisely, we collected like 3,259 claims. So it's much less than those data sets I was talking about, but there are possibilities how to basically merge these data also. So it's no problem. And so we guess we have some initial results that we have like high quality data based on this collection. And there are several tools we are now working on, which will be based, or which are based on this data set. So, you know, the interfaces of these are, in this case, it's in Czech because it's the annotation tool itself. So I will just skim through that because, so this is a part where the new claims are created and you have this context and you can click on it and you can see more text, which you can use as a context to build your claims. And this is the part where you can prepare or design at most or 1 up to 6 possible mutations of these claims. And then in the last part, you actually take the claim, which is like written here. Sorry, it's in Czech, but this is Czech data set. And you have various paragraphs of the original article and of other articles from the context, and you just select which parts form the evidence, and then you say either it's supported or it's refuted, etc. So this is like the annotation tool of this. We have lots of helper tools which helped us to actually generate the context. So it's like that, and this is like a first application, or its prototype, I would rather say, and it's something we call fact search, and this is where these data from these data sets are actually used for that first part, the document retrieval part. So you input a claim here, and then you can compare various methods, which give you mostly, and these methods we use are typically based on neural networks, to search those relevant documents by means of semantics, of not just keywords, but really the meanings of those sentences. So that's like one tool. We also focus on I must be quicker, I guess, on the second part, not only on the document retrieval, which is the recognizing textual entailment. And we must say that like in the last 2 weeks, actually, we did some, we finally got this data set in a good shape, really. So we have all those like more than 3,000 samples of it. And we were able to really get some very promising results on the second part of a problem, which, just to repeat, is you get claim, you get some supporting evidence documents, and you need, I mean, the system needs to decide whether the claim should be refuted or labeled as refuted or supported, or there's not enough info. And this is like what's the ground truth here, and this is what the system decides or predicts. So you see that in most cases it does work quite well. So this is just very quick interview. There's a lot of work on this still, but we are happy that we are finally booted up this, because there's generally a big problem in low resource languages, and we are always several years behind, like the main research done in English and Chinese and Arabic languages, for example. So, okay, I'll finish it now because I spent all my time and probably some more. So thank you very much, and we can discuss later.